you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm honored to follow my colleague from St. John's East and appreciate very much his words today. This is a very emotional speech for me, Mr. Speaker. It was 2 years ago yesterday that I had the honor of being elected in a by-election to serve the communities of Victoria and Oak Bay. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, that was, as every member in this place would know, a very proud day when you first come to this place and speak for your community in this chamber. Today is a proud day as well, Mr. Speaker, because I'm so proud that this House appears to be coming together with compassion, reflecting the compassion of this great country in doing the right thing at last for the some 100 people, now 95, who are the victims of this terrible tragedy that occurred in about 1961, thereabouts, when a drug called thalidomide was first approved for use by mothers to pregnant women who were treating nausea and the like. So I've never been prouder to stand up here knowing from at least rumors in the newspapers that all parties in this place will be giving support to this resolution that the NDP brought in, and it's as an Opposition Day motion. We all have our personal stories about this tragedy. The Prime Minister alluded to it yesterday in question period, growing up in the 60s, knowing children who were victims of that. A friend of mine's mother was offered this drug and chose not to take it, and he looks back every day with gratitude in the fact that she made that choice. He's living in Calgary today, and I spoke with him this morning about it in a very emotional way. I want to pay tribute to a number of people. I want to pay tribute first to Natalie Dash and Barry Campbell, who are with Campbell Strategies in Toronto. They called me a few months ago. Mr. Speaker, there were 98 thalidomide survivors on that day, and said, we've got to do something. We're working pro bono to assist the Thalidomide Victims Association of Canada. Can you help? My colleague Libby Davies, my colleague, the member of Vancouver East, I apologize, Mr. Speaker, my colleague from Vancouver East is the health critic for the official opposition, and she took it upon herself to do what was required to make this an Opposition Day motion. And I'm so proud that the members opposite appear to be in agreement that full support for the thalidomide survivors should be provided. As a measure of the compassion of this country, that 95 people remaining today will be able to live the last years of their lives in dignity. Mr. Speaker, many have spoken before about the situation facing the thalidomide survivors. The press conference this week with those people was so moving, and I want to pay tribute to the enormous courage of the people who were represented there, particularly Mercedes Berneghi, who is the president CEO of that organization. Her courage to come before the Canadian people with all of the cameras on, with all of the media there, and tell their stories, the stories of the poverty that they now live in. The fact that they cannot get around on their own, that they're crying out for some sort of assistance. And I'm so proud of this place because it appears we're poised to finally do what should have been done so many years ago. They don't have the ability to use their limbs and care for themselves. As has been said, often they are born without legs, or merely, in the case of Marie, only one of the people who lives in Calgary, I believe, who is one of the victims. She has only 15-centimeter long arms and only 3 fingers. Many have serious internal organ damage. And they have been relying all these years on their friends and on their family. But that isn't going to happen much longer, Mr. Speaker, because, of course, time goes on. The parents are now passed away or in homes, and they're saying, how are we going to get by? And most of them live in abject poverty. Anyone who read the article that the Globe and Mail published last weekend and saw the abject poverty in which these people currently live would be moved, as we all are, by their story. Some of them have damages to their spines and their joints, and that severely limits their mobility. They don't have the ability often to maintain employment, and they depend on others for very basic human tasks. So in that context, they come to the people of Canada, they come to the government of Canada, and they say, help us. We need help. The 95 of us that are left are crying out for some sort of assistance. Yes, there was a payment made back in the 1990s a one-time payment, no apology, but an acceptance that that would be it for these people. And they're coming back and saying, you know what, it wasn't enough. We can't live. We need ongoing financial support. We need a pension to live on. We need to be able to get by in our last years of our life if we're to live in dignity. And that's what they've asked for, Mr. Speaker. And I think we ought to address that as an urgent matter in this place. I'm thrilled to be here today and the hope that this Opposition Day motion will receive the unanimous support of this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments?